You dropped the big bucks on the Enduring Enchantments Precon, and you ran out of cash to spice it up. Have no fear, 10 hyper-budget upgrades are here. Let's monkey around. Sky Blessed Samurai is the first at bat, and if you were wondering what he is riding, it's a moth. Okay, moving on. The creature is a 4/4 flyer at a whopping 6 and a white. Very gross. Lucky for us, the cost is reduced by 1 for each enchantment in play. As you may have expected from the title Enduring Enchantments, the deck is stacked with them. 25 to be exact. Add on the 18 enchantment creatures and you're looking at almost 70% of your spells. This means you could realistically be casting this creature just a few turns into the game. Later on, once you have a developed board state, you could cast the Samurai with a throwaway single white mana. Not too shabby. And as an enchantment creature itself, that means it will trigger all sorts of things found throughout the deck. Composer of Spring, for example. The sorcery, Resurgent Belief, is next and has a suspend 2 effect for 1 and a white. After all the time counters are removed, you can put all the enchantments from your graveyard onto the battlefield. It may not be for everyone, but I happen to like my enchantments on the battlefield rather than in my graveyard. Even if you have gotten a few Onyxia Hand of Erebos triggers off, you are more than likely to have some enchantments left in the graveyard. And for only 2 mana, why the heck not roll this out? Another good part of this spell is that there's no exiling shenanigans you have to go through to get them all out onto the battlefield. If or when they are removed again, they return to your graveyard to let Onyxia do her thing. And let's talk about that for a moment here. Onyxia, Hand of Erebos, is the primary commander of this deck. The demigod exiles a non-aura enchantment from your graveyard and returns a copy of it onto the battlefield whenever she enters the battlefield or attacks. They also become 3/3 zombie creatures, and because of her passive ability, have menace. Alright, on to card number 3. The 2 and a white Fall of Lord Konda. This deck, to be frank, is a bit light on removal with only 6 pieces. Step 1 of this saga exiles a target creature an opponent controls with mana value 4 or more. That'll get rid of a big bad, which will certainly come in handy. The second step at the very least won't hurt you, but could have upside if someone at the table is a thief, just jacking everyone's stuff. Okay, I lied. You have the Eldest Reborn saga, which could give you an opponent's creature or planeswalker. Just don't troll your game, and forget about that on the off chance you get to play both sagas in a single game. The flip side gives you a decent blocker that draws you a card when it dies, so feel free to put it in front of something scary. Here is one more saga for you. Michiko's Reign of Truth. Sagas have enhanced value in this deck due to the secondary commander from this set, Narcy, Fable Singer. She draws you a card when an enchantment is sacrificed, and has a drain effect whenever a saga you control resolves. She has pretty stiff competition as a saga commander after Tom Bombadil was released so recently, but looks to be super fun in her own right. Alright, back to Michiko. At 1 and a white, this saga's step 1 and 2 buff a creature based on how many enchantments and artifacts you have on the battlefield. The last stage is a creature that grows based on the total enchantments and artifacts you control. This spell feels good at any point of the game and, depending on how developed your board state is, could be incredibly punishing. Banishment is another removal spell that gets rid of a permanent and all other permanents your opponents control with the same name until banishment leaves the battlefield. This may seem counterintuitive in a commander deck, but when you are facing down the barrel of 12 Elf Warrior creature tokens that have been lorded up and countered up 6 ways from Sunday, you can flash out Banishment to get rid of all of them for good. This spell can stop a token deck in its tracks, or at least for a turn, and worst case scenario, you can use this to get rid of another troublesome permanent. Into the Wilds is a 3 and a green enchantment that can put a land you look at from on top of your library onto the battlefield each upkeep it's in play. You don't have to reveal your card, which is nice. It ramps you with those bonus lands that don't count as your land for turn, and lets you find your best playables faster. You play green, you do the ramp thing. Sometimes it's best not to overthink it. Seal of Primordium costs 1 and a green and can be freely sacrificed to destroy a target artifact or enchantment. It's going to give you all the tasty ETB effects from things like Archon of Sun's Grace and Mesa Enchantress, while also just existing, enhancing Sanctum Weaver's mana dorking, for example. When the time is right, crack it to get rid of something nasty. If you need to, you can have Onyxia bring it back as a creature to block something before sacrificing it again to keep chipping away at your opponent's best permanents. If you were wondering how to build a pillow fort, Elephant Grass happens to be a key structural component. This enchantment only costs 1 green and precludes black creatures from attacking you at all. Each other color, or lack thereof, must pay 2 per additional attacking creature. There is a cumulative upkeep that you need to keep track of, but while it is on the battlefield, this spell is going to insulate you from opponent's aggression to make sure your board state is in good shape, or better yet, give you time to build it up to be an unanswerable threat. The last creature in this list is the Moon Blessed Cleric. For 2 and a white, you can get a 3/2 body that will have you tutor an enchantment from your library, reveal it, and put it on top of your library. There are plenty of good options to grab. Boon of the Spirit Realm will start growing your creatures as you play more enchantments. Mirari's Wake is going to functionally double your mana, and Cacophony Unleashed offers a brutal one-sided board wipe. Different moments of the game will call for different cards, so don't mess it up. Last but not least is In Search of Greatness. Aren't we all? Bare minimum, you are scrying 1 before each draw step, which is still great information to have to make the most informed draw. Best case scenario, you are playing free spells every upkeep until you win the game. Reality will be somewhere in the middle, but as a 2 green enchantment, you can get some great value at any stage of the game, so long as this is on the battlefield. That'll wrap up the list of 10 hyper-budget upgrades for the Enduring Enchantments Precon. You may have noticed I entirely neglected black as an upgrade option. So I pose the question to you, what's the one budget black spell you want in this deck 10 out of 10 times? Let me know in the comments, please hit that subscribe button, like the video, and I'll catch you later for more monkeying around.